Of course, everyone's heard of Area 51, right? I mean, who hasn't heard of that? That's so well known. I think that's Area 51 seems to be kind of a joke. Of course, Area 51 and the whole UFO reverse engineering stuff was really brought into the light, made famous by Bob Lazar. Area 51 is out in Nevada. And I've wondered about that. Nevada is out in the middle of, so barren out there. If you've ever been to Las Vegas, man, it feels like a moonscape. It feels like a great place a great environment where you could fake a whole Mars landing, doesn't it? Yeah, think about that. So barren Nevada desert. Well, people, of course, you can see Area 51 from the right observation point. You can see it out a long ways away. And with modern photographic equipment and super high-powered zoom lenses, you can see more. And of course, drones have brought more stuff into the forefront, more issues for people trying to hide things, like the government trying to hide things from us, right? What about the wooded areas? What about areas like this? They're covered. They're hidden. You could be out walking in an area like this, and you could end up seeing or not seeing a hidden entrance to something. Reminds me of the original Batman movie with Michael Keaton. Do you remember how he had when he was driving in his Batmobile and he comes up to the Batcave and he's driving along this curvy road and he's got Vicky Vale in the car, and she freaks out. She covers her face. She thinks they're going to run smack into a wall, but they go right through basically a hologram of a wall. Or at least that's what it looked like in the movie. So you could have a wooded area, and you could have it be some sort of hologram, some sort of disguised facade entrance. I mean, with all the tree coverage, who's going to see it? Who's going to see it from a drone? It makes me wonder why drones are not allowed in national parks. I don't know if it's every national park, but I know they're not allowed out in Yosemite. Weird, huh? You know how many people have disappeared strangely out in Yosemite? A lot. David Paulides talks about that and the missing 411 stuff. You can look him up on YouTube. He talks about a lot of cases. I've read one of his books. Fascinating, really interesting. So Bob Lazar came out publicly, and I believe it was 1989. He may have come out with more information slightly before that. Anyway, the late 1980s, saying that he worked for the United States government out at what he called Area S4 out near Groom Lake. And he was involved in trying to figure out how this propulsion system worked on an alien craft. And the propulsion system, this came out on what was called KLAS TV out in Nevada. I think that was a local Las Vegas station. The investigative journalist who broke that information and who did all the research, because he was afraid of losing his good name as an investigative journalist. That was George Knapp. If you don't recognize the name George Knapp, last name is spelled K-N-A-P-P. George Knapp has also been a host on the radio program called Coast to Coast AM. Coast to Coast AM is a cool program. They talk about a lot of weird stuff. X-Files, paranormal, UFOs, all kinds of weird, strange topics. I believe Lazar. I believe Bob. because I've met Bob. I've talked with Bob. Back when I must have been about 17 years old. I've always really been into chemistry and physics. So I was at a chemistry shop in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I was looking to buy a certain chemical in there. And I started talking to this nice guy who ended up being Bob Lazar. And he was just a genuine, nice, kind, straightforward, no baloney type of guy. He had a sense of humor. He loved to blow things up. He invited me to go to an event that I don't know if he was putting the event on or if he was just part of it or a founder of it. It was called Desert Blast. That event involved making explosives, fireworks, shooting all kinds of cool guns out in the desert, having a great time. Not jazz boy stuff, red-blooded rock and roll guy stuff. Desert Blast never happened that year. I didn't get to go, but Bob Lazar always stuck in my mind.